So I'm out at Chris's today. I've got my stuff with me today to set the valves and injectors on Sage's bus. I'll probably get the rack set. The only thing I didn't bring with me today was a photo tack. He wanted me to adjust the governor on it for him. So I talked to him about the possible speeds we could adjust this to, and kind of, I need to check it to actually see where it's at, but I gave him a range of where it's safe to run it, and we picked an RPM, so I'll have to come back to set that, but I'm definitely getting the valves and injectors done today. I'll probably go ahead and do the rack. It's actually going to be a pretty nice day today. It's going to get to like 50 degrees. And then there's a new valve cover gasket here to put on it too. But the bus is jacked way up in the air right now to get leaf springs out of it, so I'm going to have to get my step out of the truck, go grab a wrench so I can get the crank turned over on it, and we'll get them adjusted, get them set up for him. Alright, we're going to start on this first cylinder here. So what we want to do is watch the injector. So it's going down, it stops, it's coming back up, right? So we go back a little bit, and that injector is as far down as it's going to go. Once that is, we're okay to set the valves on that cylinder. So, I'm going to go ahead and loosen up the injectors, or not the injectors, the lock nuts. Got them screwed down just a little bit there. And now I have to go double check the book, make sure I remember what size feeler gauge I need. I'll go grab that, and then we'll come back and get it set. So I just went and looked, and it's a 013 and a 011 are the feeler gauges I need to do this. Now we have these feeler gauges in that new tune-up set that have both sizes on the same, so this is the one I'm going to need. I'm going to take it off the ring here to use it. So when you originally go to set it, you should have a light drag on this 013 section. Take that out, put the jam nut all the way in, and then the 011 should fit. The 013 should no longer go through, and that will be the valve adjustment for this. So I'm going to get this off the ring, grab my wrenches, get the phone set back up on the tripod, and then we'll go again. Alright, so I got the jam nut loosened off there, and that's pretty loose on the 0.13. So what I'm going to do is get my wrench in here, and right about there, I've got the amount of drag that I want to feel on that feeler gauge. Just a little bit. So take that jam nut, run it up. Take the wrench, tighten the jam nut. Now we're going to recheck it with this feeler gauge. Make sure you have a clean feeler gauge when you go to put it in. So I get that 1-1 in there. That moves, but it does not want to go on the 1-3. So that one is set. And we're going to repeat that process down every one of the valves when the injector is all the way down. So like I said, you have two feeler gauges in one here. This one you set initially, pull it out, tighten the jam nut, then it should be to this one. This one should no longer fit. That's how you're going to set the valves up on a 2-valve Detroit head. The process is the same with a 4-valve, but the numbers change. So you always want to check with which motor you're doing to make sure that it's going to be the right one for what you're doing. So I'm going to repeat that process, like I said, down the entire head, and then I will come back when it's time to do the injectors, and we'll go over the process for doing injectors. Alright, so we're going to set the injectors now. But these have the really tall rockers for the injectors, so I brought my dial gauge with me, which every time before and after you always want to make sure you're zeroed out. The problem is this does not clear the rocker on these, so we will not be able to set it with the dial gauge. We're going to have to keep it simple and set it with a timing pin. So we'll get the gauge put up here, and we'll hop back up here, and we're going to set this with a pin. Alright, so we have our 1460 pin, and we are going to get it put into the hole on the injector. and look at it. And we are just a little bit off. So what I want to do is that top surface of that, let me get the pin out of here. So when this is down in its hole, you're going to want to turn this. And the bottom edge of this should just scrape the top of the injector plunger. So if you were to put a little bit of engine oil, you know, dark oil up on the edge of this here, when you twist it, it should wipe the oil off. But it shouldn't be pulling it up out of the hole any. So if in doubt, run it down a little low, sit this in there, and just keep twisting it and watching how it goes over that follower. So this one is adjusted. I just need to lock the adjuster back down. And that's all it is to adjust these. Now, I wish this had the rockers where I could use the dial gauge, because we can get a lot more precise. Because, I mean, you're setting it to 1.460 of an inch. So that's a pretty precise measurement to try to eyeball. Which, I mean, this is the way you have to do it on like stuff with jakes and stuff. But if you have a rocker that will clear, that dial gauge is the best way to do it, because I can make sure it is dead on 1460 on every single one. But this is still better than having them out of adjustment, because right now this one is out of adjustment. This is just my first one. So we're going to repeat the process all the way down, and that is the injector adjustment. So next time I have a motor that have rockers that'll clear, I'll use a gauge and show you guys how to do it that way. But if you have this style rocker, or if you have jakes, you have to time it with a pin. So, like I said, it's not the best way to do it, but it's for sure an acceptable way to set them. So that'll be it for this. I'm just going to run through and set all these injectors real quick for them. And then I was going to run the rack today, but I'll wait and do that when I come back and set the governor up and all that stuff on it. Alright, so this is all the way down, and when I twist it, you can see it pushing that layer of oil off. You can see where it was. So that's what you're looking for when you're setting these with a pin.